I understand we're really, our focus here is big tech versus conservatives and or free speech, more specifically speech that many of these tech companies don't agree with. But I think we have to delve into the content a little bit here to understand why you found your documentary banned. So what was the complaint here? Is it only pro-migration or pro-open border content that's allowed on YouTube?
So, first of all, I want to clarify, since there will be people who come out and say, oh, this wasn't a banned documentary. We don't know. It could be tech errors. Sure, it could still be tech errors on YouTube's end. All that happened was the video was disappeared. No one got notifications. It wasn't showing in my video feed for 12 hours. It was fully processed and playing at 4K. And then one morning, it just disappeared off the internet with no explanation from YouTube. So, we don't have an actual reason why it was taken down, but what we do know for a fact is that YouTube does have a significant bias against conservative content. We know they have a bias against content that they consider controversial or not to be from the anointed ones. And once again, I do want to address that tech error issue again. Some people have said, oh, this was just a tech error. Well, I also sent out a community message, which is just a typed message to my subscribers on the release date of the documentary Borderless. I have 700,000 subscribers that are quite engaged with my content. In 30 minutes, I had one engagement with that message. So this was the release day of this documentary, which is a scary thing because when you don't receive a message saying, here's why we took it down, here's what you can fix, here's what you can cut out of your documentary so that you can play it. This is something we worked for 9 months on. We'd be happy to edit it so that it can play. We just want people to see it. When you don't receive an explanation, well, then it's almost like gaslighting. You just feel like you're going crazy. No one's seeing my content. No one wants to engage when that's not true. I have thousands of people on Twitter, thousands of people on Facebook saying, I'm so excited to watch this. I want to see this. I want to engage with their content. And we also know on the other side of this that YouTube, Facebook have been known to soft block and shadow ban and just make sure people can't see the content. So it's a really scary thing.
Let me jump in here with you, Lauren. It seems like they're going out of their way to not go on record with this. Like you said, you didn't get any messages because then you would have had them on record saying, this is why we don't like your documentary. So it seems like, and I think you used the word soft banning, that they're not going to go out there and put it in black and white so we can all see what the policy is, because then it would be obvious they're censoring content like your documentary.
Precisely. And for a while, it's felt like YouTubers have just been left out in the wilderness to try and figure out how to dance around the policies that YouTube has put in place of what is banned, what will lead to your video being demonetized, what will lead to it being restricted. This is left-wing and right-wing videos. And for a while, we thought we had it figured out. We thought, okay, we can't talk about terrorism. We can't talk about gun control. We can't talk about basically anything remotely political without getting flagged. But then we started seeing, like after some of the shootings that happened, the Parkland shooting, videos from left-wing and right-wing creators were being demonetized, and everyone was like, cool, that's how the system works. But then you'd see Jimmy Kimmel's video on gun control trending #1 on YouTube. And everyone's wondering, wait, we thought this is what we got demonetized and taken down for and suppressed for. Why are these late night shows getting to trend for talking about the same thing? Is it because YouTube has special different policies for them if they are the anointed ones with the right opinions? And that seems to be the case. This is not something that can be denied. This is something left-wing YouTubers admit as well that is happening. So it's, I mean, I really think at this point, for people that are questioning, was Borderless censored? Did anything actually happen? Or am I just going crazy and it's a tech error? Well, I don't think in a day and age where conservatives are being taken off Facebook, taken off Instagram, taken off Twitter without explanation, and YouTube is very explicitly banning content that is conservative or suppressing it, I don't think it is crazy anymore. In fact, I think the Occam's razor, the most obvious assumption is, yeah, there's something odd going on.
Here's what I don't get. YouTube started I mean, they called it YouTube, right? That was the whole point of YouTube, was that people without their own platforms would now have a platform to put pretty much whatever they wanted on the internet. I mean, they were uploading edited clips of their favorite TV shows or songs that hadn't played on the radio, or their kids doing funny things, cat videos. You pretty much were able to do whatever you want on YouTube. But once people who realized there was money to be made in producing content that may not be on a major network, that's where it seems like this came into play. And the demonetization, as you spoke of, that's a way to stop people from producing content. You say, hey, if you put something up and enough people watch it, advertising's embedded, you can make some money here. But you know what? If we don't like you anymore, we don't like you on YouTube, we'll just play little games so you can't make any money to produce more content.
Precisely. It's not about the you anymore. It used to be about the individual creators, the people with their webcam, the people that were just on the street taking out their camera, and people loved that. That's what drew people to YouTube. And now if you look at the trending tab, if you look at the top videos, it's almost all mainstream television that have billions of dollars, millions of dollars to spend on production value that, quite frankly, someone with their webcam can't really compete with. And it's a really tragic thing to see happen to YouTube, but they've chosen an agenda, a political agenda, a very obvious one, and money and safety and comfortableness. They don't want anyone that could potentially be too edgy, which used to be the love of YouTube, whether you were left wing or right wing or just a creative artist. People loved that it was different from the things you would see on TV, but no, unfortunately, they have chosen conformity and money over the actual creator. And I'd be fine with that, but they aren't admitting to it. They still pretend they're this platform of free speech. They still pretend they're this platform for the creator. They're not anymore. When all of the trending section is not the top creators, it's not H3H3 or PewDiePie, or you certainly would never see someone like a Paul Joseph Watson on the trending section. And instead, it's Ellen DeGeneres and John Oliver trending. It's like they have television shows. Let the creators on YouTube be in the trending section, but no, they're not safe enough. They might say the wrong things. They can't be curated to the perfect political opinions like these television outlets with very outstanding liberal views.
So, here's an obvious question, and maybe you have some insight. If they're not going with what's trending based on clicks and viewers, and they're making a decision, then it's obvious somebody is sitting there making a decision as to what will trend, making it kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. If they say it's trending, people are going to say, well, I want to see what's trending, so I'll click on it, right? Thereby justifying the fact that it's trending, versus putting it out there and letting people decide what they want to see, and then go, okay, here are the videos people are watching. Now we're saying these are the ones that are trending.
Right. And it would be a very dangerous thing to allow just what the people wanted to see to trend. I mean, all sorts of things could happen there. You could have criticism of the government. You could have criticism of YouTube trending, criticism of Silicon Valley. You wouldn't want to see that. So they have to be super careful to pick and choose, and certainly to an extent curate what people see. And when there's a lot of debate over, these are private companies, they have the freedom to pick and choose what they want to trend and what people see. But we are living in a political climate right now where certainly millennials, I believe the last statistic I read was over 50% of millennials receive the majority of their news from sites like Facebook. And that's forming their political opinions. That is deciding the outcome of elections. So when you have these big tech giants pretending to be neutral, pretending these are videos that are trending and the majority of people support, and this is informing the majority of the populace's political opinions, certainly the young populace, what you are looking at is not free speech, certainly, and it's not a private company deciding to do whatever they want as a private company. This is becoming a digital dictatorship.
Look, I'm with you. I'm getting sick and tired as a conservative and libertarian, a believer in the free market and the free space on the internet, defending these companies I don't think deserve our defense, right? I mean, we defend their business model based on a principle that the internet is one of the greatest tools of communication. YouTube, Facebook, Google, these are very successful sites and very successful companies, and we don't want the government to start getting involved. I don't think they deserve our defense anymore, but I obviously can't close the segment without asking you about the content of the documentary. What's it about? Tell us all about the documentary.
Sure thing. Well, this was what was particularly shocking about the taking down of the video, and even some of the criticism we received, is we went very out of our way to avoid any political bias in this documentary. What we did is we went on the ground in places like Turkey, Morocco, Spain, Greece, and then all the way to Ireland. And we spoke to migrants and human traffickers who were making the journey on the ground. And I'd say 70% of the documentary is migrants themselves just telling us stories and not us inserting our political opinions. And by the time we got to places like Paris, Northern Europe, what we had is a lot of migrants that had spent a ton of money to human traffickers, risked their lives to cross the ocean on the promises by politicians that refugees are welcome, we have tons of housing for you, we have tons of space for you here, jobs. But in reality, they just paid $2,000 to a human trafficker, ripped up their passport, got into Europe, and overwhelmed Europe with migration. Couldn't be processed, didn't have ID to be accepted as a refugee of any sort, and ended up sleeping under bridges in Paris. So it's not a documentary of any sort of propaganda or right-wing opinion. It's actually a very human story about the tragedy of what's going on with these migrants when they are being invited in to Europe en masse by people that think they are being compassionate, but their compassion only goes so far as a Facebook post or a filter that says refugees welcome. And they're nowhere to be found when these migrants are sleeping under bridges because too many have come in and can't be processed.
All right, so let me wrap with this. Was this documentary banned because of its content or because you're behind it?
Well, it's certainly no secret that I've dealt with my level of censorship and shadow banning. I've been banned off Patreon. I've been taken off Facebook a few times. I've received numerous warnings from Twitter. And I wake up almost every morning to a new video being demonetized on my YouTube. So it's probably a little bit of that, probably a little bit of both, that they don't want people to see it. But once again, I want to reiterate, we don't know technically what happened in the background. But there's definitely something suspicious going on.